All right, let's plan it. Cool, we rolling? Hello everybody, welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Such.
And my name is James.
All right. I feel like this week was the 50,000 looked a little bit further away than it has previously. I didn't have the greatest of weeks, James, to be honest with you.
Like that, mate.
But as we established when we spoke a couple of days ago, I was 20 odd points behind you this week, and I was another 10 the week before in total. So I'm 30 points off you, I would say, give or take. I'm down to 9,000 now, and I started the week at 5,000. Peaked up at nearly 2,000.
How many transfers used?
Just the one.
No, overall.
7 now.
You used 7.
Yeah.
I've used 9. I'm on 565 points.
565, and I'm on 533. So yeah, 30 points, 2 transfers.
Yeah,
it's touching distance,
isn't
it?
Slightly ahead, probably.
Touching
but
distance
it's close.
here. Yeah, I feel like the disappointment for me has been twofold in the last few weeks. One is Nicholas Jackson. Woo! He's been a pain in the ass.
How's he got booked again, man?
I have no idea. I don't regret the choice, to be honest with you, because Chelsea had that decent run following on from Luton, and it gave me an alternative captaincy to Colwill or Thiago Silva, who the majority of people would have been on. So I felt like if Jackson, I mean, his underlying numbers, people are talking about his chances and whatever. Had he done well, it would have really shot me up the ranks. Obviously, he hasn't. Now it makes that move to come off particularly easy. The other disappointment for me has been Mbomo for the last 2 weeks, but he did score in the first game that I owned him. And the big deal is the Monday captaincy for me. And I'll be going Mbomo where a lot of people will be on Taiwo Awoniyi. Sunday, sorry. The Sunday game, single game day. So a lot of people will be on Awoniyi. I don't think many are on Mbomo.
What's Mbomo top thousands?
28.5. It's sizable enough.
It's a little bit more than Awoniyi, mate.
Yeah, so
Awoniyi 26.5. We know obviously it's not just about the top 1,000 quite yet.
So those two, disappointment. I didn't have any Newcastle defensive either. But like we've just talked about, right? What's your overall rank there?
2, 3, 3.
Yeah, so
2, 3,
30
3,
points,
5.
7,000 places.
Yeah,
as we just keep your powder dry. I'm fairly comfortable. I'm happy with the team. I only made the one transfer, which was Rodri to Salah for captaincy. I'd earmarked.
That worked out.
I'd earmarked buying Salah all day long,
yeah.
And it was either Ruben Diaz or Alvarez was the one I was going to sell. And Rodri helped make my decision for me by getting himself sent off. So Rodri to Salah, straightforward enough, and I'll come back for Rodri in due course. Fairly straightforward.
Did you consider keeping him?
No,
for me,
only because I'd already
sell as well.
Because I'd already earmarked getting Salah. So it was like one of my City players was the one that I was going to sell for Salah. So it just made my life a hell of a lot easier. There was just no debate in that whatsoever. I've got a few daisy chains in the future coming up, James. So I want to move from Jackson and Mbomo to AN Aston Villa attacker and Sonny. I feel like I'm going to go Sonny over Maddison in the next few weeks. And those moves, I can then move on back to Rodri at some point further down the line as well. So, no, not really. Alisson, 4-pointer, had a save tier there, which is pretty decent. Jordan Bayer, tier 2 passing, 2 weeks in a row.
Very popular next
Looking
week.
tasty. Ruben Diaz did well for me. Saliba, Colwill, nothing. Mbomo, nothing. Bissouma, he's ticking along, but it's always just the little tier points here and there. He must be on 3 or 4 yellows now as well, Bissouma. He's had a few.
3, he's not on 4. But if you look at bonus points accumulated so far this season, I think he's got 15 overall. Like that, for bonus points, that ranks him about 6th, I think, of all players.
Yeah, he's steady Eddie.
Yeah.
He's steady Eddie. And then up front, Haaland, Alvarez, and Jackson.
What's Bayer's ownership overall in top 1,000?
Top 1,000?
Yeah.
2%.
I mean, that's probably a little bit more than I was expecting, to be honest. And overall?
Overall,
0 point something.
Less than 0.5%.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
You're asking that question why? Because you're looking at whether he's a pure differential.
Well, I think he will be a differential because Burnley defender, but I think within the engaged, he'll probably be the most captained Tuesday night as long as he's in the team, I should imagine. Although there'd obviously be a number of kind of linger on Nakamba, who got 6 tackles at the weekend, so it shouldn't be sniffed at. It's very good. And those on Nakamba should just leave that be and just go for it. How many points this weekend for you?
67 in the end.
67. Okay.
67 with the one transfer. Like, had I not got Salah captaincy, I mean, he was 20 points of that, right?
Who's your keeper?
Alisson.
4 points.
Yes.
So I've got 19 from 2 keepers at the weekend, so that's kind of near enough the
difference.
So I used an extra transfer as well, so I obviously should have scored more. 88 points for me. 2 transfers on Sunday. I went Ederson to Pope. The reason for going Pope was a lingering on December the 5th, which I'll speak about again because I didn't clarify myself very well last week. Newcastle obviously coming into a really good run. Manchester City about to come into a more difficult run. Decided to make that move, and the intention with that transfer, what I wanted to do is if I decided to do it, was the intention is Pope stays there now to overhaul. There's no, they've got a single game day, go and buy a keeper. It'd be like, find a different solution. The intention in terms of buying Pope is like, that's it now. That's my Newcastle coverage from now all the way to overhaul. Their fixtures are good for a consistent period, kind of, even when the really good run, which is now, kind of ends, like in their last 4 before overhaul, they've got Fulham at home, Luton away, Nottingham Forest at home. So right through to the overhaul period, I think that's good. And I wanted some coverage of it. I'm pleased I've made that move. The other one for me was, removing Rodri. I decided to go for Maddison. The reason for going Maddison, I definitely on Sunday before the game was clear to go Maddison over Son because I still didn't have enough information on Son. It was a Maddison versus Saliba call for me. And the reason for Maddison primarily was get him in. That's now giving me a better captaincy for Saturday the 7th when Tottenham go to Luton, where I probably would have been looking at Thiago Silva as captaincy away to Burnley, which I don't think particularly would have been ideal because I'm not even sure they'll get past Tier in that fixture, as kind of shown with Manchester United at the weekend. So decided to do that. With the idea of then, okay, there's 3 captaincies for Maddison over the next 5 fixtures, kind of effective. What was that going to be over Rodri?
A lot like over a little.
7 over 1, right? And then the idea to chain that into an Arsenal player when they play Sheffield United, probably Saliba, on the 28th of October, because Arsenal and Sheffield United, that's an absolute clear. Arsenal will be the best captaincy that day, and I've got no coverage of it. Now, if I could have gone back, I would have gone Sonny, right?
That's my question, James. So in my situation right here, right now, Jackson's a goner. So I can go anywhere. There's
I'd buy Son.
You would go Sonny over Maddison today. Yeah, that was my call as well. I feel like he's the one to go to now. And the fact that people that have gone early may have gone Maddison over Sonny.
You're covered for these 3 single game days, right?
The Tottenham ones?
No, the 3 single game days. So
Mbumo,
what, Colwill still?
Colwill.
That, to be honest, that might look better for Monday now with Gusto's red card because there's every chance he'll play at centre-back and you've got Bayer. So I'm going to guess, therefore, you're not intending to make any transfers this week bar replace Jackson.
Correct.
How much in the bank?
Enough to go from Jackson to Son.
Yeah, you just got to consider the moves beyond that if you do it. Like, does it close you
then
off
it's
of anything
Mbomo
else?
to Watkins or Diaby. Yeah. And still leaves me $1 million and a half in the bank.
We'll find that Diaby is going to be the most popular when it comes around. That has to be a single game day.
So if I was to go Sonny and Diaby, I still got money in the bank for anything else that I could potentially want. But all my other captaincies then are covered off. The missing piece to the jigsaw will be no Newcastle still. And I don't know if there's an off from Alisson to get to Pope, but I don't know why I would need to. It feels like, yes, Alisson hasn't kept that many clean sheets, but their good run is coming, and it's a waste of a transfer. I mean, he's still picking up points.
There's no Alisson to Pope move.
Yeah,
there isn't. Not
if anything,
not till
it'd
December.
Be Alisson to Areola at some point. But I, whilst I don't need the money, I have no need to downgrade Alisson. Just leave him be.
At the moment, there is no requirement to have a Newcastle player. I think there's a consciousness that it might be needed in December. And that's why I've decided to make the move on Pope. So returnees for me this week. Ederson, blimey, 10 points. Wham now. Man City got a red card, Rodri got sent off, and Ederson had to make a couple of saves. 9 for Pope, 4 for Lewis Dunk, 9 for Ruben Diaz, 20 for Captain Mo Salah on Sunday, Bissouma 3, Maddison 8, Alvarez 4, Captain Haaland Saturday for 14, Colwell, Silva, Awoniyi, Blankers. Silva would have hit Parsons here, I think, probably bar the red card against Aston Villa. So, yeah, all right, steady week. Not great for me in terms of, but I had a really good week the week before. So, happy to sit there, consolidate.
Green arrow? No? Grey. Let's call it grey.
Don't think
there or thereabouts.
Sunday I was up to about 1,500 and dropped back down. Despite having Newcastle coverage and captain Mo Salah. A lot of people felt like that, I think, on Sunday. It was like, why have I got hit so badly? I mean, there'd be a number of teams would have people like Saka. If you haven't got, for example, Heung-min Son, a number of people would have potentially bought Sonny as an alternative to Maddison. Yeah, I would go Sonny over Maddison at this stage. So if I walk into any problem right now, he's going straight in, I think.
Yeah.
I would consider, even though I've got Maddison and Bissouma, for the Fulham game that Monday night and then the Palace Friday, I would still consider potentially adding Son as well.
What do you make of the fact that the games that he's scored, the goals in, he's picked up tier points, shot tiers.
Obviously.
He hasn't picked up any other tiers, though, in any of the other games.
Well, we expect him to get passing tiers.
No, well, shot tier, at least. I mean, he's the kind of guy that gets shots off, and he's very, very deadly. He's a great finisher,
but
so
if
you
you look
on target.
If you look at his points, I don't know where he ranks in midfielders so far this season. I'm just going to have a little check. It's got to be pretty high. It's his 4th, right? It's 4th for midfield. Rodri is still the top scorer in midfielder, 50 points. Then you've got Saka, 49, and he's joint with Salah on 47. And your vibrating phone is not putting me off in any way, Suj. So he's joint 3rd, 47. Right. Well, his whole points come from 2 games. If you'd have captained him against Burnley, it's 46 points.
Yeah, it's the big captaincy is massive.
That's it, isn't it? So you look at them, that period of, if you have him for Luton, Fulham, Palace, you're potentially captain 3 times. If he goes off once there, he's going to kill the people that don't have him, for example. And yeah, it probably will be bits of that where it's 2-16 with him. It feels like that. So, yeah, as I said, I may even go into the Tottenham Fulham game Monday 23rd. I might have Bissouma, Maddison and Son, possibly. I want to clarify December the 5th before we talk captaincy and learnings for the weekend and potential moves. Because I got myself tied in a knot last week saying that I thought Wolves and Burnley could be a single game day on Tuesday, December the 5th. And then looking at it and convincing myself mid-podcast that it couldn't happen anymore. There are 3 games that could be a single game day. Well, there's three games that can take place on Tuesday, December the 5th.
Yep.
That's Luton versus Arsenal, Everton versus Newcastle, and Wolves against Burnley. Luton and Arsenal basically can't be a single game day. If it was, we wouldn't stress about it because there's entry points for Arsenal beforehand. But that's not going to be a single game day. The other 2 can, and that includes Wolves versus Burnley, which I think is important to emphasise now ahead of Burnley playing on Tuesday in the single game day against Luton. What it would require for Wolves and Burnley to be a single game day is first and foremost Brentford and Luton to be selected as a TV fixture on the Sunday beforehand. So that's Sunday, December the 3rd. If Newcastle and Manchester United is the other TV selected game, that would still leave Wolves and Burnley as a single game day on Tuesday the 5th. Alternatively, there is also scenarios such as Arsenal against Wolves and then Brentford against Luton that could leave Everton and Newcastle as a single game day as well. But I still think that Wolves-Burnley could be a single game day Tuesday the 5th. Now, if you look at all Burnley's fixtures from the Luton game onwards, they're always first, except after those Tottenham 2 single game days, if you wanted to come back to them. At that point, you've already missed the Luton single. The games they've got in the end of November and start of December, which are West Ham at home and Sheffield United at home, I think are highly likely to stay as Saturdays. So there wouldn't be an entry point. Jordan Bayer, I think, has shown us over the last couple of weeks that if he stays in that team, there's going to be, as I suggested, regular passing tiers.
Yeah,
they're going to improve.
He was clocking at a pass a minute, like consistently throughout the game. So
James Trafford hit 69 passes.
Not bad.
For goalkeeper?
Not bad.
Well,
It's
so
excellent,
there is a
obviously.
little bit of a caveat. Burnley played really with a very narrow 2-3 in build-up. So they were moving both fullbacks into inverted to join Josh Cullen to make a second line of 3 in front of the 2 centre-backs. And Manchester United were ready for it and stopped the passes going into there quite a lot. So they kept going back to the goalkeeper quite a lot. And they kept going to each other, Bayer and Alderkill. And that's why the numbers were really, really big. So it was possession without hurting, let's say. And United got a defensive structure in which stopped Burnley. Others might do the same, but Burnley might also play very differently. They might decide against Luton to play Taylor and Roberts in really wide fullback positions and push them high, for example. They have the ability to adapt and change. But in any case, I think we've seen in these Forest and Manchester United games that Bayer's very capable of hitting pass and tiers. And looking longer term, the reason I say ended up with things like maybe even Bissouma, Maddison, Son, Bayer might allow me afterwards to jump from Bissouma into Saliba and then cut him out, maybe even, and then keep one of Maddison or Son moving longer term once I got a bit more info. That, I think, at 6.6 is the best enabling defender in the game at the moment, if you want one. And we've had so much focus, and I think primarily because of performances of people like Paulinho last season, Christian Norgard the season before that the enabler we want is in midfield. The concern with Burnley is we concede too many goals, but they've conceded 1 in the last 2. As in 1 in each game.
Yeah, as long as he's keeping it to like not better. Getting too many minus points for goals conceded, it's all good.
If he's getting passing tier and they're conceding 4 or 5 every week, it cancels itself out.
Yeah,
and
but
makes
they're not.
It,
Bottom line is they're not.
No, I think they're going to get better. I'm absolutely convinced with them. Not that I'd say, they'll definitely stay up. I'm absolutely convinced, and I have been, even on the night after I went to Burnley and saw Tottenham get 5 against them, that they would get better and cause difficulty to teams. Dara O'Shea played last night at Salford. There's a bit more information that we didn't have yesterday when we recorded, Serge, in terms of what he is fit. So what's happened? I'm recording with Jack and Dan for Luton and Burnley on Clash of Correspondents tomorrow. So we'll hopefully find out a little bit more in terms of what's happened there with Dara O'Shea. There should be a consciousness of that. I'm pretty convinced, though, that Burnley had Bayer on loan last season. They paid 13 million to make the buy permanent, and they wouldn't have done that unless the intention was he was going to be the first choice centre-back. So I think he's pretty safe. And that's certainly who I intend to buy on Tuesday, which would be my only intended transfer this week. In terms of options to him, Suj, it's either Colwill or Awen Yee. I'm more likely to bin Colwill in the immediate.
Yeah, Forest's fixtures after Brentford in Palace and Luton are fairly okay. And then you can move off Luton to Sonny if you wanted to, or a Villa asset on the Sunday when we play Aston Villa. So yeah.
Yeah, Colwell into Bayer will then put me in a position where I've got over 3 million in the bank, and then it's Awen Yee into Villa, and like I said, possibly the extra Tottenham at that weekend. That's the plan moving forward. Captaincy this week, so Saturday, straightforward.
Robot. Haaland's
got it.
Yeah, not mucking around with that.
Any debate for a Saliba at Bournemouth, or Saka if he's fit, or
no
Son or Salah?
No.
We think it'll be high scoring.
No.
Sunday?
No. Sunday will be Brian and Bobo for me.
It'll be Awen Yee for me. Who do you think is best? Like, if someone wasn't on, what are you advising?
I'd say Mbomo. He's on pens. I don't know who's the pen taker for Forest. Is it Gibbs White?
Probably.
Yeah, so I think Mbomo, but it's a tight one.
I think, looking at the fixtures of the two teams afterwards, you're probably going to want to go in for 3 games and come off in either scenario.
Up to Burnley for Brentford and Luton for Forest.
Exactly that. So if you go in for Mbumo, or I think if you go Flecken, it's probably going longer term. But I think people are wavering on that. I think a lot of people were thinking sort of Edison to Flecken this Sunday. I still think that's possibly reasonable, but I think you might be looking at more a chain move. So something like Edison to Flecken for the 3 games, then on to like Martinez or Vicario, for example, and chain it that sort of way once you've got those other single game days, rather than a long-term buy. If you look at Brentford's games immediately after Burnley at home, you got Chelsea away, Liverpool away, Arsenal at home, and Brighton away for the next 6. there are also home fixtures with West Ham and Luton in there, but I think the loss of Rico Henry, we know Kevin Sade needs an operation now due to his pre-game injury as well. There's a few problems building up for them where consciousness doesn't feel quite so good to go into them. So if I was going Brentford, I would go the Forest game, the United game, the Burnley game, and then sell. Chain it on probably into Villa or West Ham. It's worth saying, Suj, you've got a great run from there as well.
Yep.
Perhaps not necessarily with Villa away, but then afterwards, Everton at home, Brentford, Forest, Burnley, Palace. You could chain into that. So Areola on that Sunday if you were to go Fleck. And I would still go for something in there. On Mbumo, I'd have real alarm, as discussed on the FPL podcast yesterday, that he might end up in certain circumstances like he did at the end of that game Saturday and end up in a wing-back position.
He's only staying till the Burnley game for me, so it's fine. I can even make the decision to come off him after the Manchester United game.
If you're on Mbumo, I think you're looking at Diaby, aren't you?
Yeah, or
similar
Watkins.
Price.
Or Watkins, one or the other. It's an Aston Villa asset. And if I decide to go for the Wolves away game or the West Ham home game for Villa, I'll do one or the other. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I fancy the Burnley at home game for Brentford. It's not too bad versus Wolves away for Villa. That's the toss-up in the end.
I think if I didn't have anything, I'd probably have regret that I didn't do it on the last single game day. But I think at this, I would go Awoniyi.
Okay.
Based on the way Brentford defended Beto and Calvert-Lewin at the weekend, and based on Forest games being Brentford at home, Palace away is fine, and then the final one's Luton at home to take in and then sell. So I think Awoniyi, you would almost trust a little bit more on consistency across a 3-game period. You're not getting him in and think, he's going to get hat-tricks for me on Sunday. Not at all. But he might tick you over an average sort of 5 to 7 across the 3 weeks and make that across 4. If you've got one captaincy in there, you're looking at sort of 20 plus points, hopefully, I would think. I think that's realistic. Whereas Mbumo, looking at the moment, feels a lot more like it's probably not likely to hit that, would be my take. I would go in Awoniyi if I was buying for the 1. Don't go Turner, again, is the advice. Vlachodimos could come in at any point. And there's nothing else at Forest worth considering, I don't think.
Chelsea, Fulham.
I think the outstanding captaincy would be Thiago Silva, just
agreed.
because he probably will hit passing tier, you would imagine, in that fixture. That might get broken up a bit by the fact it's a local derby. It's particularly important for Fulham. I think the only Fulham asset to consider would be Leno, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. He might even be the highest scoring goalkeeper, I want to say, at the moment. Suj in the game, I'm pretty sure he is. Yes, he is. He is. One more than the great Ederson. He's on 37 points, Leno. And again, you could go Chelsea at home, Sheffield United at home, and then move that straight on to something else if you want. Following Sheffield United, Fulham of Tottenham away, Brighton away, Manchester United at home, Villa away. There's Liverpool away 2 after that as well. So they do come into a really tough run where you may not want to look at that. But in the case of Leno, I bet you in a number of them games he'll get 4s and 5s through save tiers. So I think Leno would be only one to look at Fulham. Paulinho we know will do fine, but it's too expensive this season versus others at similar value, in my opinion. So again, if I had to buy new, I think it would still be Chelsea for me. I'd want
Thiago Silva, 8.5 million is a great price.
I'd want to go Silva. I'd go Fulham away, Burnley away, and then sell or keep. It's a consciousness for me that if I don't land on an Arsenal player Saturday 28th when Arsenal plays Sheffield United, that I might get stuck captaining a Chelsea player at home to Brentford. And the more I think about that, the more I keep thinking, well, how bad is that? Definitely at passing tier against Brentford. Mm-hmm. Brentford have obviously got a very good record against them since they got promoted. They've won both games at Stamford Bridge. But that's not terrible if I ended up captaining Thiago Silva in that circumstance. And I may even take the view, even with those really rough run of fixtures, the Tottenham City, Newcastle, Brighton, Manchester United, I may even take a view to hold him through. And the reason for that is, with Silva, is looking at Chelsea's last 5 fixtures before overhaul. It's Everton away, Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Crystal Palace at home, and Luton away. I'm going to want to go back to Chelsea there, aren't I?
Possibly, yeah.
Do I just suck it up and think, well, I don't fancy much in there, but they're probably even some of the tougher games. Say City score early against Chelsea, might let Chelsea have the ball, and Thiago Silva might hit a passing tier against Man City. I might even hold him through. to be totally honest, because I'm pretty confident I want to go back there. And I'd have real concerns about, how am I getting there if suddenly it doesn't land in terms of fixtures and stuff. You'd probably mean buying him early anyway, either Brighton at home Sunday the 3rd or Manchester United away Wednesday the 6th. So I would maybe have to go back in during a tough fixture spell anyway. So it's just something to consider with Silva. Any other Chelsea I'd be getting rid of after the Burnley game. Anything else? Sanchez, you could make a case to keep. Anything else? Colwell and that, I'd be looking to bin after the Burnley game. So Silva, though, if he can stay fit, I may even keep longer term, Serge.
Okay. What about the Tuesday? I mean, it's what you've got, really, for most people.
Those who've got Nakambo, it's fine. Leave it and just go with that.
For me, Bayer would be in.
I wouldn't be going anything else from Luton. If you had to consider something else, Carlton Morris will be on pens. It's a home fixture. Sure, fine. Afterwards, Tottenham at home, Forest away. You could do similar there and take
Villa, Liverpool, Man United.
Yes, whatever it is, it's not staying longer term. Whereas the Burnley one, it might. And I do think Bayer's the outstanding one. For those who've got Foster and have held, well, if you've held this far, keep holding, and you should be okay. What would you do, Serge, if you were a Foster owner, you held, and then the team lineup came out next Tuesday night and it wasn't in it?
I'd move it on.
You wouldn't move it on, would you? You'd probably go get something else, wouldn't you?
Well,
or leave it.
Bayer.
I think under that circumstance, I'd just captain him, and I'd assume that he would, as long as he's
Do you mean if
sub,
he's on the bench?
Yeah. I'd just leave it and captain him, and think we might get me half hour at the end, and who knows?
Yeah,
that would probably be my take. But if you make the decision and think, well, I do want Bayer long term, for example, then do it. So with Burnley as well, like afterwards it's Chelsea, Brentford, so the two immediately afterwards aren't as attractive. It's what comes after that is really good. We got a 6.6 defender who is capable of passing tiers. What we need is Burnley to keep clean sheets to go with it. But yeah, I think he's going to be extremely popular. I think a lot of people will buy him Tuesday. Those who've already bought, like yourself, ain't even thinking about it, are you?
No.
What would you do if he's not in the team?
Oh, skip it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would skip it. I'm not pissing about with getting another Burnley or another Luton for that.
If Colwell's not in the team Monday night?
Even more annoying. I'd probably get Thiago Silva and hold him out for a long time. Yeah, just because Thiago Silva.
I don't know about hold him out a long time.
Well,
but
I would be comfortable if I knew I had to hold him, I suppose I should say, more than anything else. Thiago Silva's 8.5 million. It's a very good price compared to the price of the Liverpool or City or Arsenal defenders. He's decent, Thiago Silva. So I'd probably get Thiago Silva and then be comfortable knowing that if I had to leave him for a little while, I could.
Yeah, I was just thinking about chaining keepers to see if there's a way for you to get Pope in a different way. If you went for Sanchez or Leno, it doesn't really work actually, Serge. No. If he was thinking that. Leno's reasonable. That's the one Fulham I'd consider. I think the best Tuesday will be Bayer, in short. Right, wrap up of some of the stats from the weekend.
Let's do it, and then we can pull out some of these questions on Twitter.
Johnston and Leno both in saves at the weekend. Leno will keep hitting them. Joachim Anderson in tier 1 passing, 2 more passes than the returning Mark Gay. Issa Diop also in passing, 17 more passes than Tim Ream. For anyone who's thinking, oh my God, Issa Diop's now made over 200 passes in his last 2 games, I probably wouldn't take too much notice of that. Paulinho and Harrison Reed in the tackles, so too was Will Hughes. Willian was the only player shots here. It was saved here for Jose Sarr at Luton. Interestingly, Wolves' numbers of possession quite low. But, we said recently, it's like, it's more like with Diop, it's because it's against Luton.
Correct.
This felt more like it's because it's Wolves.
Yeah.
So Max Kilman was most 38 passes. No people be thinking, red card obviously had an influence. But the possession numbers between first half and second half weren't that different.
Right.
Luton were having a lot more of the ball in the first half in any case. They started the game quite well. Tom Lockyer was most for Luton passes, 47, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the most for any Luton player in any game for passing all season. Amari Bell in tackles, Nakamba and Kabore both tier 2. Sambi Lukonga, by the way, posted on his Instagram page yesterday that he's going to be out for a couple of months. So the one thing that does makes Nakamba even more of a certainty. If there was any doubt, which there wasn't particularly anyway, but yeah, absolutely Nakamba will play. For Manchester City, low numbers, very understandable. What did we say? It was 70 32% possession first half and 31 second half or something.
It was 100 combined for the two, though.
Rodri, however, only needed 45 minutes and roughly 30 seconds to get tier 2 passing with 75. Yes, he was on course for around about 150. Nearly ended the game as City's highest for passing, despite only being on the pitch for 45 minutes. Manuel Akanji, the only other City player to hit tier 2 passing, was 79. Diaz and Gvardiol hit tier 1. Julian Alvarez with shots. Just the 9 completed passes for Erling Haaland. We don't care about that. Dominguez, who made his debut for Nottingham Forest, quite impressed actually. Tier 2 tackles with 5 as well. But I wouldn't be looking for him or Ibrahim Sangare. If you're looking to go in and add for Forest Brentford, I would go with an offensive player like an Awoniyi or an Abumo. It's definitely Awoniyi, I think, if you're going for Forest on Sunday. For Brentford, Ethan Pinnock and Nathan Collins hit passing. It's worth saying Ben Mee was obviously a miss for Brentford at the weekend as well. Christian Norgard, 4 tackles, 55 passes. And Bumo did hit tackle tier in the fixture. The only Everton tier in the match was 6 tackles for Amadou Onana. As mentioned, Burnley passing numbers: Al Dakil 109, Jordan Bayer 101, James Trafford 69, and 3 saves. I do think that was probably a little bit of an anomaly because of how Manchester United defended in their first line of defence against Burnley on Saturday night. Onana 4 saves, Bruno Fernandes 3 shots on target, and an absolutely brilliant goal to boot. The only player to hit passing tier in the North London derby, Suj, was?
Ibasuma?
No.
Oh. In the North London. Saliba? No, he didn't hit tier. Gabriel?
No.
I have no idea.
Christian Romero. 69 passes. There were 49 for Mickey van der Ben, 40 for Gabriel, 44 for Saliba. Ibasuma was 56 passes, 4 tackles, 1. Shot tier for Brennan Johnson and obviously Heung-min Son. There were save tiers for both Raya and Vicario. Raya looks assured as number 1 now for Arsenal. Shot tier for Saka and tackle tier for Saka. To go with his goal, he is, according to Mikel Arteta, a doubt for the trip to Bournemouth at the weekend. But let's be honest, he's very coy on these things quite often, so we don't actually know what the truth is there. Lewis Dunk basically had half a day off for him, only 72 passes against Bournemouth at the weekend. But as mentioned previously, Suj, Bournemouth pressing will go in and about it, so it doesn't surprise me too much that it's lower than maybe we'd expect. Adam Webster-Moore with 80. Billy Gilmore also 64. There were 8 tackles won for Joel Veltman. I should say Destiny Udogie won 8 tackles in the North London derby as well. Porro had 5, Zinchenko 5. For Bournemouth, shots here for Solanke, tackles for Billing. On Billing, interestingly, Neil Grover said on COTC on Monday that he thinks he'll end up playing further forward once Tyler Adams gets back in the team. We know Adams was potentially useful last year when he was at Leeds. We think he's going to play for them in the Carabao Cup tonight. Mitoma came on, scored twice, obviously hit shots here. Antoine Semenyo also hit shots here as a substitute as well. Malo Gusto, 4 tackles, 1, and also 1 not 1, which led to a red card. Sanchez and Martinez, both in saves, 2 shots on target for Matty Cash. Boubacar Kamara, who might be sitting in a few teams, 5 tackles, 1. Returning Jacob Ramsey is a big boost for Aston Villa, and he won 4 tackles in his 20-odd minutes on the pitch. I don't know, but that would
not
be...
Not a consideration
if you're
at all,
thinking
really.
about it, that would be very, very punty.
Yeah, and when you've got the likes of Diaby and Watkins and stuff.
The only thing I would say about him is he might change the way Villa play a little bit, Ramsey, because he's a different player to what's available for them at the moment, and I'm sure he will get back in that team. For Liverpool, passing tier for Virgil van Dijk. Joel Matip was 1 short. Andy Robertson 2 short. It was saves for Alisson and Becker. Nunes and Salah shot tier. 86 passes for Alexis McAllister. 81 for the brilliant Dominic Szoboszlai. I don't know how consistent that will be in terms of passing tiers for the 2 midfield players, but they're getting better in there. Certainly Szoboszlai especially. Curtis Jones hit tackles. Edson Alvarez hit tackles. He will do, won't he?
Yeah, there's no surprise there at all.
Jared Bowen, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting differential when this swing comes round.
You get shots here.
He did, yeah.
Do you know the irony is both were from headers? I don't know how many shots he had in total, but the goal was a header and another attempt on target was a header.
Correct. He also scored a header at Luton.
Yeah.
And there seems to be more of that. It seems to be an extra layer to his game. You wouldn't think it of him.
No.
I'd be interested to see what his headed efforts on target is this year, actually, because it does feel like there's more of them building. I think he's really interesting to keep an eye on. Nothing for James Ward-Prowse lovers this week, unfortunately. And finally, Sheffield United against Newcastle.
Who didn't get a tear or something in that game for Newcastle.
To be honest,
not tears so much,
it's
but
the usual with Newcastle. Yeah. There's not a lot, so...
But it's just goals and assists that are racked out.
Obviously, if you've got Kieran Trippier and you've got 3 assists and a clean sheet, you're laughing. But you're probably a little bit disappointed that he's not got pass in there. 49. Fabian Schär just got in with 61. Sven Botman comfortably in with 87. Bruno Guimaraes also just in passing 61. Callum Wilson, 5 shots on target. Vinicius Souza tackled here, 6 tackles. Wes Foderingham, 7 saves. Anthony Gordon obviously played well, 3 shots on target as a substitute as well. But I do think, despite the fact, obviously there's a number of Newcastle players would have obviously returned very well. Byrne, Botman and Trippier have obviously all returned attacking returns and Schär's hit passing tier. They all will have scored more than Pope in that at the weekend. But I do think Pope is the right call from Newcastle because there won't be enough tiers, generally speaking, from those Newcastle players as the games get more challenging. And to be honest, based on what I saw on Sunday, every other game will be more challenging.
Cool. Okie doke. Well, that's a wrap-up of all of the games. We've had some questions in on Twitter, James, as well, or X, or whatever you want to call it. They're good questions because they're very much yes-no, A-B type stuff that we can rattle through some of these. Let's do that then. Streaky, got Sanchez and Enzo for the Chelsea-Fulham game. Who would you captain, and who should I get in for Enzo after this game week? It's time to go.
Sanchez.
Sancho.
So, yeah.
Enzo and Sanchez, and he's gone with Sancho.
Definitely not Gusto or Jadon Sancho. No, definitely not. I'd captain Sanchez. I think Enzo's playing a little bit more advanced, so he's not looking quite the Sky asset that many of us might have hoped. In terms of off, you're obviously looking to move, I guess, primarily after the Burnley game. So Declan Rice, maybe, if he's fit.
Well, that's
might solve you a problem if he's fit for that Manchester City game. You could
Spurs coverage.
You could go into Villa there, go Diaby and go a week early when Villa go to Wolves, maybe. So probably be looking at that. You wouldn't expect Enzo to get anything against Arsenal the following week, so it might be that. Just go. It's probably not ideal, but just go a week early for something like Diaby at a very similar price, I'd say.
FPL Matt currently only has Colwill for the Chelsea single game day, same as me, Matt. Do you think it's enough? I think it's enough. Have lost faith in the others and never owned Thiago. I mean, Thiago's a great own, but I wouldn't be buying him if you've got Colwill and Colwill's in the team. And if he hasn't, then Thiago's the only other place I would go, as we've already mentioned.
Now, look, with Gusto's suspensions, every chance Colwill will move to left-sided centre-back, so he now looks a better option, potentially, for Monday night. In any case, even if he was still at left-back, I wouldn't go and get anything else. I'd just stick the armband on him, and I'd be looking to move him straight on after Chelsea's game at Burnley.
Michael Harland jumping in with the questions as he does. Currently sat at 4K. He's used 44 transfers. Rice to Bayer on Saturday. I'm assuming that's a massive if Rice is out, right? Or hold till Tuesday and then make the transfer and dunk to Thiago Silva on Monday for captaincy. I don't know if he's asking as if they're independent of each other or together.
I mean, that will get defined by your Rice situation. Who's the player who's looking to sell for Bayer?
Dunk. No, Dunk was for Thiago. Rice was for Bayer.
Sorry, read the old question again?
Yeah, this is what I don't get. Michael, you might need to clarify a little bit here. Rice to Bayer on Saturday or hold till Tuesday.
So you're saying make the transfer Saturday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Then
I get that
make the transfer and dunk to Thiago on Monday for captaincy. Cheers. I mean, dunk to Thiago is fine if you don't have a captaincy cover.
Yes, and you can go...
Rice to Bayer is fine if Rice is injured.
You can get effective 5 for 2 versus Dunk, and then you'll want to go back when Brighton play Fulham on October the 29th. I think if Rice is confirmed out, you just buy Saturday. It's not unthinkable that they could hit Parson-Tier at Newcastle. I know what the concern is there. You're thinking, well, if they get beat 4-0 and you don't hit Parson-Tier, it's maybe a minus, isn't it? But it's also, he might score from a set piece. And by the way, he will be a threat from a set piece as well in certain games. I would do it Saturday. If you 100% know that Declan Rice is unavailable, yes, I would do it on the Saturday rather than the Tuesday. I get the question, because nearly always you would go, well, yeah, get him in straight away. But I get it. You are thinking, could that be a minus?
FPL Fish is asking about Saka and Maddison. If they're declared unfit, where's best to go? You can only go defence or midfield. We also have Nathan asking about Saka as a potential injury. Those two, if I knew they were short-term knocks, I might stomach it, I might just put up with it. I don't really want to be using transfers chopping around too much.
Maddison would be one for me if it's he's probably going to miss Liverpool, but he might be back for Luton. I'm leaving it. Would be my take. If Saka is out, generally I would buy Son. Liverpool at home, Luton away, captain. Fulham at home, captain. Crystal Palace away, captain. Back to Saka. Sheffield United at home Saturday the 28th, captain Saka. Son's cheaper than Saka. That would be anyone who's got Saka. If he's definitively ruled out of this weekend, I would strongly consider that. You'd have Son for effective maybe 7 versus 2, and the 2 for Saka. City at home, Chelsea away, and then it chains back in where, say you're sitting there with Son or Maddison, just make sure you got enough to get back to an Arsenal player Saturday the 28th.
Cool. A few asking around where the best place to go from Jackson is.
Anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're teeing yourself up for Villa's good run or get yourself that Spurs coverage early, those are the two thoughts in my mind.
I mean, the first thing in mind is, right, have you got captaincy coverage for Sunday, Monday,
Exactly.
Tuesday, right? That's your first answer, because to be totally honest, from Jackson, whatever you were buying for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, presumably is in price range somewhere. What's Jackson said you owned him, like 8.2 or something?
Price-wise, yeah, 8.2.
So unless you've got nothing in the bank, it's Silver Monday, it's Awoniyi Sunday, it's Bayer Tuesday. Unless, of course, you're already set up in a 5-3-2, might be a little bit awkward. Under that circumstance, if I didn't have Awoniyi, I'd probably still go Awoniyi and then move it on to something else and restructure the team, I think.
Cool. Last question of the show, James. We're going to give to Paddy Losty.
Nice.
I like this one. First-time player, 42 transfers used. Current rank, 119th.
Is he going to say, is that good? Is he going to say, is that good?
No. He says,
How am I doing?
I credit listening to your SkyFF intro vid 3 times. Maybe we should have recorded it 3 times and we might be all right, James. Okay. Question is, how vital is it to save transfers? Is it okay to make a move a week to stay on top of fixtures, or is it important to save for late in the game? Cheers, lads. Bottom line is there'll be more fixtures in the second half of the season to get fixture gains because of postponements and things because of the cup, but it won't be double. So like we mentioned last week, get to 35 by the time you get to overhaul, you'll be all right, 30, 35, somewhere between that. But don't disregard the advantages and gains that they are to get right now.
Yeah, and also consider this, I was thinking about this in terms of the timing of the overhaul. And we know there's Man City Brentford rearrangement that could happen around about the overhaul, which makes the period where it's scheduled for might be a little bit less, for example. Because I don't think they would come straight back off the overhaul with the Manchester City Brentford single game day. I don't think, unless it was to land on, I don't know, Wednesday the 9th of January, they might have to take that sort of decision. But we're going to come back to the split week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a danger here, I think, for the Sky game. Let's knock up a scenario here, Suj, where we've got 10 fixtures split over 2 weekends and they're played over 6 days. It's quite possible, I'd say. I think that's probably par, 6 days. So you're going to come straight back in and presumably pick the best 6 captains for those 6 days, aren't you? We're all going to have similar teams probably after overhaul.
I'm going to say yes. but I need to get my head around what's to follow for each of the individual teams afterwards. Yes. But yeah, the more single game days or captaincy coverage days it creates in that match week / 2 weeks, the more likelihood we will have very similar teams.
I mean, give you a few examples, right? Let's say, right, Arsenal at home to Palace, first game after overhaul, right? So it's, you know, whatever's most popular at that point between, say, Saliba and Saka, right, is going to go in everybody's team. Villa go to Everton, right? If it's a single game day, what is it going to be? Watkins, Diaby? Is it going to be Martinez? There'll be nuances from that. Even take perhaps better examples. Brentford at home to Forest. If it's a single game day, right? Yep. Brentford player. I don't think could be Tony's. I think maybe if it's the second weekend, it could even be Tony's first game back, possibly. Brighton are at home to Wolves. Burnley are at home to Luton. Chelsea are at home to Fulham. West Ham go to Sheffield United. Imagine you need captaincy from all them games coming straight back off of overhaul. You'd be picking the best options, wouldn't you? You almost need the single game days to be with the top teams, I think. So like, all right, Tottenham against Manchester United's a single game day, for example. You need that sort of thing.
Okie dokie.
So there's games to be made now. I don't think it should be a consciousness. If you're like me and you're on 41, there should probably be a consciousness of, I've used more than most. But I've made transfers because I've gone for gains now. It's not that I'm just doing it for the sake of it. You could maybe say the Ederson to Pope one, but I've looked at that now, and the clincher for me on the decision was going, right, that's it. I don't want to move this position now. He's going to stay as my keeper all the way through.
Cool. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Planet Sky FF. We're back at you each and every Wednesday, so make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you've hit the notification bell, subscribe button, thumbs up, whatever it may be, and you'll get notified as soon as additional content goes out live. If you want to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/planetfpl. Loads of infos on our mini leagues and additional content and all that kind of stuff as well. We're back at you tomorrow, Clash of the Correspondents. Who have they got to look forward to?
Luton Burnley with Dan Ashby and Jack Toner as well. It was a really good one on Monday. Bournemouth and Arsenal with Neil Grove and Adam Pritchard as well. We've got a preview of the Women's Super League with Lauren Harris on Friday as well.
Lovely jubbly. Stay safe, look after yourselves. Chat for now.
Thanks everyone. Play it your way. Cue music please, man child.